take over the game completely. And then they took that Baron with no cooldowns, died at the Baron, and it was a complete turnaround. Then MrRallez messed up the net. You know, there were consistently some mistakes happening.
And so weird that a few of those were just completely in mechanical execution, something we don't always see. We're gonna have to see if the decision-making keeps up here, though. Once again, nearly banned out, Azir as well. Shen, Ryze now taken off the table, interestingly enough, not wanting to give that one over to Ryu. I mean, what goes through your head? How do you come back after a game like that and just focus on what's ahead of you? What do you change?
I mean, you don't necessarily have to change anything in your pick and ban phase. Like specifically, I think H2K will put focus on obviously getting Jankos a key pick, unless Elise is not banned here by Schalke, because then you can either trade Elise for Rek'Sai or the other way around. But I still think Elise is a fantastic pick for Jankos. Such a good champion for him because he can be aggressive in the early game. And we saw H2K in the last game, they wanted to be aggressive. Always got to consider the karma. We know the power of karma, especially paired with something like a Sivir. So there's still a lot of key picks. And Schalke, bit of a filler ban. You know, they're actually leaving the Elise Rek'Sai so they can trade. Meaning now H2K might not first pick one of the junglers, but then go for the third option, which again could be the karma, and then you still get a jungle pick after.
Really interesting to see, too. And I mean, personally, I would love to see Jankos get his hands on that Rek'Sai, the thing that Gilius said he was strongest with. But on the opposite side, there's no doubt in our minds that Gilius' strongest champion is that Elise.
Exactly. So I think I'd probably rather take that away from Gilius. If I absolutely want to first pick a jungler, if I just want to trade the two junglers again, then I'm looking at Karma as a pick. I'm looking at something like Sivir, which was obviously extremely powerful for the rotations. If we look at that last game, Shen is banned, he would have been another first pick option, same for Vladimir. And it is just a situation where H2K are opting into picking away from Gilius and also the, in my opinion, best jungler for Jankos.
And I really like this strategy coming in from Schalke. They force H2K to pick a jungler in their first rotation.
Now I want to see Sivir Karma on the other side. And this is the trade-off, because you can still get Rek'Sai.
Exactly, because there's no way that they're taking it and putting it anywhere else. And I feel like Schalke, in this first rotation at least, have completely outdrafted H2K.
Yeah, they definitely read the situation correct. Banning that Draven last is not because they're really too afraid of Freeze on Draven. It's more because they wanted Rek'Sai and Elise to both be available and just make this trade. We always see it when it becomes like a trinity of picks. You ban one, and then like, oh, do you ban the second one? Do you ban all three? Or do you start leaving two of them open and you just constantly trade?
Yeah, interesting, because if you ban two, then that suddenly becomes first pick
That becomes
worthy.
the first pick worthy.
Exactly. Yeah. But now H2K, because of the fear of getting this in the hands of Gilius, because of the priority they want to put, I mean, this is H2K showing so much respect to Gilius and Gilius alone, because we know that they'd be happy with the Rek'Sai. But the fact that they do not want to give Gilius the opportunity to snowball in the early game is hugely telling for the team's confidence.
But also just because Jankos is a jungler who can go off on Elise. Like if you pick strong laners here, you can pair that with having Elise pressure in the early game and you can play really strong early game. Like this is fantastic bot lane. Bard, Kate coming in obviously for H2K. Pair that with the power of Elise in the early game and that's suddenly a very, very strong side of the map you're gonna have if you move Elise to the Caitlyn Bard side. And H2K, understanding, you know, we have this Elise pick now. We need to be able to do something in the early game.
And so frequently, we see Bard banned away from a multitude of supports in this league. But Sprattel and Vander are unique in that it's very frequently taken away from them. They've only each received a single ban from the opposition on this champion. And it's going to be interesting to see how Vander keeps up, both mechanically and in terms of how he's playing the map, because honestly, he's been suffering the last few weeks. He's been getting caught out, he's been making mistakes, and Bard has the potential to be this insane playmaking champion if you're good at it, if you can make the necessary impact.
Bard is one of the healthiest champions for this game. Among picks like Lee Sin and Thresh, picks with insanely high skill cap, where if you are fantastic, you are so good on this champion you can win the game alone. And then suddenly people have to start banning it away. Azir is another one of these picks. Yeah, people might hate him, but his skill cap is insane. So if you play him extremely well, you can force teams to just ban him every time or you take over games. Bard, of course, is in the same boat. And I've seen Vander both show up on the Bard and be fantastic. And I've seen Vander show up on this Bard and look really, really bad. That was earlier in the split. I actually think the last time he played the Bard, he was very good.
And I think, I mean, when we look at H2K, that's kind of the story for the team as a whole. It's not just the Bard pick for Vander, it's which H2K are we going to see today? Are we going to see confident H2K, the H2K that's going to outplay their opponents in the macro game, pick who they want to snowball and do it proficiently? Or are we going to see the H2K that struggles in decision-making, or the H2K we saw last game where they didn't struggle to make decisions, but they did not make the right ones?
Yeah, I want to see Gnar here. There we go. I like this from Odoamne. I think it's less risky than going for the all-in composition with Hecarim and Lissandra. Obviously, they're trying to combine both of them into a stronger combination, but I think this is super solid. You get that Gnar into Trundle matchup. Viktor is the safest of the blind picks in the mid lane, and you have a very strong bot lane as well. So you have a lot of good lanes here if you're H2K, and you have one of the best early game junglers on one of the best early game players. So it's a good setup for H2K.
Really interesting to see how Schalke responds to this because they do not have reliable frontline here. Elise, Gnar, limited situations where they truly are tanks for the team. But at the same time, the pick potential is there. The setup is there for the team as well.
Yeah, a lot of pick potential, but also still good team fighting. Like, it's a bit of the same setup. Interesting choice. This is when you trust in your mid laner to be a big carry. You trust on putting him in a side lane. And also, when it comes to making decisions in team fights as a Kassadin, if you get proper flanks and you're good at diving in and out, you can take over fights.
And last game, I felt like was the MrRallez show on the side of Schalke. So many team fights he got to run uncontested, but Fox, the man who has put up such good numbers for the entire this season, now being the center of attention for the team. I feel like once again, we're starting to see the 1-3-1 come out from Schalke. But if 100%. They get a lead, like they did last time, suddenly the team comp changes, as we talked about.
Exactly, but like this is the same setup where you have that one lane at least where you have just a champion who can't be stopped. That's the Kassadin. Good thing for H2K is they have Gnar into Trundle this time around, so there is a lane where Odoamne can at least hold the Trundle and not just get pushed back every single time. But still, no one can deal with Kassadin in the side lane. So again, it's about hitting Schalke in the setup. Bot ultis, I'm looking at Jankos to be the hero in this game here because he's the main engage on the side of H2K. If he's able to force fights around the mid lane with a bot ulti, you stop that Kassadin from ever setting up the side lane.
I didn't know Jankos was in charge of the Bard ulti.
Not Jankos.
Vander,
it's Vander. Unless Jankos steps over and plays on Vander's PC. I mean, they have been together for a few years now.
The Swippy swap.
Maybe that's the key to their partnership, is the fact Jankos is on both PCs at the same time.
That would explain why his performance has been suffering there. But of course, as we gear up for our second game, head on over to Twitter. You pretty much have to after that first game. Hashtag H2K win. Or hashtag S04 win. I feel like S04 win, rather. I feel like this... who do you predict after a crazy game like that?
I mean, first of all, in a matchup like this, you can't really predict any of the teams because they're so close. Like, we're watching a game where it's about who makes the least mistakes, honestly. For most of the teams in Europe, it's not about who plays the perfect game anymore. It's about who makes the least mistakes. In the last game, they both made a ton of mistakes, but in the end, it was H2K who made one less because they actually finished the Nexus, and that's why they won. One less mistake.
It was so close for them overall. Of course, guys, we're going to have a brief pause here as we get one or two issues with the players sorted out before we get into game. And Odo, just waiting to load in.
I thought you called me Odo.
No, you're not Odo.
Oh, I'm not Odo?
No.
Oh, okay.
We haven't added to him to our list of retired pro casters yet.
Well, he's not a support, so I feel like,
not eligible. But I mean, as long as Jankos is playing for both Vander and Jankos, we can
That's true. We
bring him on up.
Take Jankos, but no, here in Europe, we only look for supports. Or players who have failed miserably in their careers. Like myself, not Crepo.
Or people who've never played pro.
Or people who never played pro, we pick them too. Yeah, our
just not.
Do you know League of Legends? Can you talk? You want to apply?
Of course, we're about to load back into the series. This has been delivering thus far as a game of the week. Very back and forth.
It's a match of the week.
Match of the week.
But you are correct. First game was extremely entertaining. This game as well, because we have the same thing. We have the team fighting composition against the split push, the 1-3-1. But a split pushing composition from Schalke, as you said, if they get ahead, they can win fights as well, because they are very strong when they can flank with the Trundle, with the Kassadin.
Gonna have to see exactly how this works out. The pause is over. The players are loaded in. You heard the crowd cheering. This is game 2. Everything on the line for H2K. If they win this, they pull ahead of Splice once again. But if they lose here, if they tie up, Splice will be ahead of them in the standings to end the day. And suddenly the pressure doubles on H2K to earn back their spot in the top 3.
That's the crazy thing, that this H2K lineup, due to their slump, have, for the first time in a long time, lost that top 3, but only for now. Because again, as you said, if they do 2-0, they will retake the position.
Never let it die.
Man, imagine if you spelled that wrong on the sign.
How would you spell it wrong?
I mean, adding like a second V or
They
something.
could literally just put STE and then just have a chain of E's. You don't even need the V in the other E. People will figure it out. The audience will fill in the blanks for you, I'm sure.
We'll see. We'll see. So, Schalke with the Kassadin pick. Always a high risk, high reward pick in the mid lane. Can take over games or can be completely useless with the Kassadin. Match up into a Viktor. It's hard for Viktor to kill the Kassadin. You can get some pressure, push him in. Crowd is cheering for Schalke.
Man, the support for Schalke. For so long for this team, all it was the Steve chants and the memes and the jokes, but they've gotten so much better in their fan base now. So vocal in supporting them. It's good to see.
Good to see. I mean, again, this whole Schalke story has been quite successful. Obviously, stepping into League of Legends in the first split, keeping the lineup except for one player, or getting a good upgrade in the mid lane, and now the Schalke team has become a stable top 6 team.
I think in the same story we're seeing from Splice, one player changes, the entire dynamic of the team changes. Gonna have to see how they execute though. Once again, we have the lane swap, Karma moving in to bully out, Steve joining the rest of his team on the top side. Keep our eyes on this execution.
So let's talk a bit about H2K's comp, and these 1-4 compositions we see so often, Tsepha, because a mistake I see from a lot of people when they look at 1-4 comps is they think, okay, you just play 2 lanes then. Well, you never just play 2 lanes. You will always play all the lanes on the map because you have to get farm on multiple carries. So you always have that 3-man group consisting of your AD carry, your support, and your jungler playing on one side lane. You have that control mage, Viktor in this case could be Azir as well, sitting and holding the mid lane. The reason they're so good there is because they always have priority in the mid lane, because they can instant wave clear, they can threaten to kill 1v1 against squishy AD carries, meaning that you have control in mid lane from your mage, and then by playing 3-man in the side lane, you have control in that lane too. And in this case for H2K, because you have a Gnar into Trundle, that means they can technically set up 3 lanes that are actually winning in the mid game, and then pressure down this Kassadin every single time. But again, one mistake, one slip up, and that Kassadin gets 1 or 2 kills on an early skirmish, and then suddenly you can't set up this 1-1-3, as I like to call it, which later becomes the 1-4. It's a lot of numbers, but it all makes sense if you think about it.
Now, of course, looking at our sets earlier in the day, we saw Senkux on Splice get ahead on this Kassadin. We saw what that double kill can do, the mobility, the reliable engage once you are ahead to just start cleaning up fights, to pick off kills. Have to wonder exactly how that's going to work out now that it's in the hands of Schalke.
Jankos, gank, it's good.
Make his presence known in the mid lane, waiting for the cocoon, just hitting him with the red buff, waits for the flash. Good patience, uses it. Beautiful execution. H2K picking up the first blood.
A little bit sad we didn't get to say this before it actually happened, but Jankos is one of the junglers who really understand which lanes he needs to gank in the early game. That's why a pick like Elise is so good for him. When you play against Kassadin, when you play against things like Swain, shut them down in the laning phase where they're easy to gank. Great start for H2K.
The action's not done yet though. Vander's potentially in trouble. Prey Seeker comes out. He
does have the portal.
Doesn't want to burn his flash. Jankos goes over the wall. They're maybe looking to set up a dive here.
Ooh,
they have a man advantage. Gnar, no TP.
No TP, but still 3v2.
Jankos definitely has the lead. Stun goes down onto Stevie. Solo, he hits level 3. Beautiful stun. The follow-up. H2K are going off. Vander tanks the tower. Patience and execution. They failed so many tower dives last week, but now they are showing up.
That was a perfect tower dive and great understanding of this lane swap. Schalke should not try and defend on the tower with only 2 members. You have to just give away that tower and then swap to the bottom side yourself with your top laner, like Steve just did. Why not just do it instantly? Trying to defend as 2 members is way too risky.
But
they got punished. Perfect setup. Bard, stun onto 2 into Elise.
We always ask which H2K is going to show up. This is the H2K of seasons past. These are the guys coordinating these dives, making these aggressive moves, and getting these big advantages.
But I want to go back to my point of which team makes the least mistakes win in the EU LCS right now. This was a massive mistake from Schalke, trying to defend on the tower. I don't know if they think they actually have TP on the Kassadin available and he can TP in to prevent this dive from ever happening, but that would have been a 4-second channel anyway. Couldn't have saved him no matter what, and he'd already used it back to mid lane. never try and defend your tower in this case against things like Bard and Elise that are so good at tower diving.
Of course, not only are they good at tower diving, but the insane burst damage coming out from the Elise early game, as well as the Bard Meep Slap plus the stun. Caitlyn, of course, gets the free lineup on the built-over Peacemaker, and it's just, that's not a lineup you can stand up against. You can't.
Nope.
Level 3 Trundle doesn't have tanky. There's no subjugate. There's no tanky stats. There's just a corrupting potion. And things, I mean...
And where do you go? Like, you have to stay near a wall, which means the bot will land that stun almost every single time unless you flash the stun at first, but then you often end up flashing out of the tower and then they can just chase you down. So really just nothing good about that position on the map from Schalke, and that is the first mistake. First mistake is staying under that tower. Second mistake is then...
Not everything is lost. They've gained a decent amount of gold in their favor in this early game, but it's not going to be everything as Schalke sets their sights on this mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, the only good thing Schalke gained was that MrRallez, because he was sitting bot side, got a bit of extra farm, but you don't really care too much about early CS. You care about experience, and the 280 carries are dead even. So right now, it just benefits H2K.
The kill, essentially the free coal pickup after that, means that it will all balance out in the end. BF sword as well.
Please.
Moving down. Odo. Gnar is coming. Schalke, though, still confident as they pressure. They want to keep this lane swap going. Jankos and Odo. Have to see if they can do this. Vander on the way to back up the team. Good use of the magical journey to make his presence known.
And it gets a bit harder to dive now. You get a few more levels under your belt, especially on the side of H2K. There was Gnar at the same time, so Schalke couldn't dive, just like H2K did on the top side. Also a much weaker composition to dive, like Karma dives compared to a Bard. Big difference. And then someone got to settle for a Cloud Drake, but you didn't even have control on bottom side because H2K had so many members. Not only do H2K take away this Cloud Drake, Freeze gets to crash a wave on top side into the tower. The entire wave is going to die, and no one from Schalke is going to pick up that farm or the experience. Freeze might even stop a recall here, why not?
Oh, Fox
was window shopping.
No, why is he window shopping? Flash forward, one more auto.
Window shopping!
Oh, what is this game? We talk about silver linings. No silver linings for Schalke, just handing things over on a silver platter, lining up the Cloud Drake, lining up the kill. It could not be easier for H2K.
Yeah, Freeze walked in, put down the trap. That doesn't put, you know, the window screen down or the shopping screen down from the Kassadin just yet. Freeze needs to hit him first, so by the time he hits him, the trap procs. And obviously he can hit him again with the headshot. Everything is falling apart for Schalke right now. Like, I have not seen a team collapse this hard.
Can they, I mean, maybe it's just too much strain emotionally after that first game, but this is not the Schalke we expected to show up. On the other hand, this is the H2K we've been waiting to see for so long. And I mean, the first 2 kills, the first 3 kills, brilliance and execution, but that last one was just...
Breakdown in communication, though, see, from the first gank from Jankos in the mid lane, that Schalke is then suddenly going for the defense on top side. No one calling, guys, just get out of there. Literally, do not stay, because if you do stay, you will get killed on the tower. H2K didn't even have to rush it. Like, Odoamne was running as well. It could have been a 4v2 dive, technically. They couldn't leave because Jankos was blocking the way. So it was just a complete breakdown for Schalke here, also starting that dragon right after, realizing we're actually not really that strong on bottom side. H2K is here with multiple members and we're tanking the dragon. Keep in mind, Cloud Drake does a lot of damage because it hits very hard. No one can tank it in the early game. Mistakes.
And we talked about H2K potentially having so many winning lanes here. They've got a massive gold advantage. They've got the 4 kills. And Gnar, now with a lead on the bottom side, means it's so hard for Steve to get this farm. You can see him on your cam there now. Talking, kind of gritting his teeth as he speaks too. Has to be frustrated with the way things turned out because last game was so even, so close, so back and forth. But this time, I mean, short of an H2K mistake, they've got a massive advantage in the early game, and it's going to be so hard for Schalke to come back.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You take the Kassadin down a little bit first. 2 kills onto him. Easy kills, honestly. They barely had to do anything for them.
I mean, one was
the first cocoon. That was just an easy gank, and then the second one was a free kill, honestly. So now you have Schalke in a terrible situation. Kassadin is put behind, and you want to put him in that side lane very quickly because the longer Kassadin stays in mid, the easier it is for H2K to just push up mid and get full control in that lane. Keep in mind the tower died as well. So it's not even a mid tower for Kassadin. He's going to sit at his tier 2 tower in mid. That means your jungle is no longer your jungle. H2K right now own the entire map.
nothing they can do. We look at the bottom side of the map, finally, some farm given back to
Gnar's
Steve.
gonna push in Trundle.
Yep, nothing you can really do. Of course, Telly's Mega Gnar won't be able to cancel the TP so, or any movement options coming in, so Trundle just on the way to the mid lane, maybe looking for a flank here.
And if people were looking at the way H2K were just setting up the map right there, that's the play we talk about with the three-man group of Freeze, Jankos, and Vander together. They were just pushing out topside, meaning MrRallez had to step back and he couldn't contest the wave. He had to wait at his tower. And then Kassadin is stuck in mid lane with no wave clear, so an easy rotation from top lane straight through the jungle to this mid tower.
Things are going so badly for Schalke because they built a composition with so little wave clear that they don't really have any defensive options here. Not only that, we saw MrRallez really wait on those traps in the last game, but this time Freeze building as we talked about, as we expected. 3 points in the Peacemaker, 3 points in the trap now, looking to max them out first as he pushes forward, grabbing his 4th point now. And that's just, I mean,
It's
how do you fight back here? I mean, what is your opening with the Kassadin and the Trundle who are so far behind?
Well, this is the kind of game, honestly, where you look back at these early mistakes and you say, well, this is where we lost the game. Like, we actually didn't really have a chance to get back.
It's 12 minutes.
It's 12 minutes, but it's a composition that can't... 1-3-1s can never fall behind, because then they can never set up split push. They always get forced to defense every single time, or just defend tower, sorry. And they also get forced into team fights. 5-on-5s. Kassadin in a 5-on-5 with just a Rod of Ages is not very scary. So H2K is just in the perfect position where they can push in every single lane, have full control of the river, meaning that you can't set up TP flanks properly, and you can farm multiple jungles at the same time. We need to see Schalke try and create a pick where they catch H2K by surprise, and this Kassadin preferably picks up the kill. But again, that requires H2K to make the mistakes, and that's the worst situation to be in. If you have to rely on the enemy team messing up, you never feel in control, and that's why you just feel like you can't do anything in the game.
And this series has been a story of mistakes.
Well, mistakes and good execution this game.
Yeah, absolutely in favor of H2K. TP coming in.
Trading towers.
Schalke know that they can't...
Oh, Sprattel's taking
no, wait, why have we seen this so much today? Maybe looking forward. Ryu on the way in. He's going to throw down the Chaos Storm. Is he? It's not going to connect. Ryu potentially overstepping. Is this the mistake they needed? Odo throws back the members of Schalke, but the wave is starting to get cleared. Jankos and Freeze still burning through the tower. Is that the overstep that they needed? They're going to be able to get the advantage. They have the tempo in their favor, but it's still just going to be the trade.
Just gonna trade here. H2K, no reason for them to commit for more here. No reason to give Schalke a potential inhib and trade it for their inhib in the bottom lane as well, because you're so far ahead. So I really like H2K just recalling with their support and saying, let's just defend. You know, we take this tower, you take a tower, reset the map. Infernal Drake is up in 8 seconds. H2K is in prime position to take it because they already pushed the bottom lane. TP is available for Odoamne, so he can sit and push out the bot side, sorry, the top side. And now you have another easy objective for yourself. The first one got gifted to you. Yep. This one, well, no chance for Schalke.
Systematic play, I would safely say, coming in from the side of H2K. No doubt there. Have the wave advantage on the top side, or rather on the bottom side, as Steve is relegated to just clearing that out, getting the farm he can. No TPs on either one of them. Odo still with a TP available as he clears out, and everything is going in favor of H2K. Infernal dropping as well when they already have a 4K gold lead is massive.
Schalke used 2 TPs and 3 flashes, and all they got was a trade. They got a tower, and H2K got a tower. Then H2K decided to also get an Infernal Drake right after, because they were actually pushing the bottom side of the map, not the top side of the map, meaning that H2K won out anyway. They only had to use the summoners on Ryu, and that was it. So Schalke is in an even worse position now. They're trying to just push out one of the lanes and like get a little bit of pressure on the map, but they need this Kassadin so badly to get a side lane, but he can't.
And this is so rough for them because you saw the gold differences pop up on your screen. You saw that there's so many advantages present on the side of H2K, and Infernal just makes it that much worse because, I mean, essentially a free amp tone in stats at this point for Ryu as he approaches the 200 mark. Getting 16 extra AP, happy to have that. Leveling up too, so the Hex Core continues to give him more, and the scaling is just completely in their favor.
And now we see H2K once again setting up their 1-1-3. The side lane is controlled by Freeze, pushing out. Normally, Caitlyn loves to be in the mid lane, but when you play with Viktor and Azir, you can't. Which means in this case here, you have to use the Caitlyn in side lane with Hurricane, push it in, and then you can start moving down the jungle again. It's all about setting up vision in enemy jungle, deny information from the enemy team, and then you have this fantastic situation where you can just move through jungles much faster than the enemy can because they have to run around the jungle instead.
Run in, little Cloud Drake action, smite it away, run right back out. Gilius suffering here. Does manage to be even in farm thus far, but the 2 kills very much in favor of Jankos.
Jankos.
A little bit of struggle.
And now we get the setup here. Put up the vision. We're waiting for Schalke to react. Because that's all they can do.
I mean,
they
exactly. H2K are on the front foot. They have everything. They own the map. They own the jungle.
I mean,
they
you
own
can
the
dive
vision.
this. You have Bard. If you bottle to the tower, you can go for dive.
Like that?
Like this. Yeah.
Sprattel potentially in trouble moving forward. CC comes down and Karma gets dropped.
I like you, Vander. Especially like you on Bard lately. They've been banned a lot against H2K in the last few games. I say a lot because there's been like 4 or 5 games where it's been banning them, or they have been picking it as well. Sprattel has not been that big of a Bard player just yet.
No, neither one of these guys. Kind of something we talked about in the Champions Select. Neither one of them known as the Bard players. No Mickey, no Mithy.
Yet Vander had a few good ones here and there. Like this has been a good game for him so far. Really like that setup. Not only do you hit the tower, you also hit the Karma, and then you have Caitlyn trapped.
Yeah, and this is his 4th Bard game. I mean, doing well on it so far, 2-1 before this game started, so continuing to set a precedence here. Looking to bring it up to a 75% win rate if they can pull this out.
And we see the same setup every time. It's Freeze, Jankos, and Vander. That's the 3 in your composition. Always pushing in. Beautiful, beautiful dive. And the thing is, MrRallez and Sprattel, there's nothing they can do here. If they step forward to try and like contest the wave, they just get chunked by the Hurricane Caitlyn or get ganked by the Elise, and they have to just step back and wait a tower.
And
when you have Bard, you can tower dive.
Exactly, and they're just so far behind now that they don't have the Mikhails or the QSS. They have a single spell shield, and it's not enough for all of this potent CC. They have to get out. They have to be willing to run out there, and Sprattel, you know, hesitates to burn the flash, maybe thinks he can make it out in that exchange, but really just gets clipped by the tail half of that Tempered Fate and just gets burned down.
And if you're H2K right now, you actually love this game to just like fast forward 5 minutes so this Baron is alive and you are high enough level to take it down without risking too much, because they have the entire setup on the top side. They actually just want to get to the point where you start baiting the Baron and force Schalke to come teamfight before Kassadin even has an hourglass, potentially. Right now you can still siege because the wave there is only MrRallez, and whenever he's in a side lane to catch the wave, you get a few hits on tower, put down a few more traps, and you just slowly but surely move around and take down every tower.
Pressuring 3 waves, members moving to respond on the side of Schalke, getting a little bit of damage down onto the tower. Ryu throwing on his best angry face there, trying to zone him out as he throws down the gravity field. MrRallez takes so much damage, and the tower just continues to burn.
Yeah, every single time H2K pushes into one tower, they force MrRallez to show up. They move through the jungle to the next tower, because then they know MrRallez isn't there. So they can start hitting the tower. Give it, you know, 2 or 3 hits each. MrRallez shows up, he gets the wave clear, good. Run back to the other tower, and keep doing it over and over and over. At some point, MrRallez gotta even recall and shop, and he's recalling now. Or he just recalled before, so that's the free tower.
So rough, too. You can see Fox starting to move down, maybe hoping to catch Odoamne off guard, hoping to find that first kill to start the Kassadin snowball, and it just isn't happening. H2K have too much vision control. He thinks he can get an opportunity, gets spotted out. Odo not falling into the trap. H2K, they know they've got the advantage, and they are simply not giving it up.
Nope. The only thing he gets is the wolf camp. Froggen would be happy, but it is not enough if you want to get back in this game. And that's a rough situation.
It's not even 20 minutes and there's a 7K gold lead.
Yeah.
Just about. And it's Rift Herald dropping. You said you wanted to fast forward 5 minutes. Well, I mean, here we are. Baron spawning. Cloud Drake next. Should be an easy pickup if H2K want it.
Oh, it's free. It's going to be absolutely free because MrRallez is on top side. Pushing it out. You got your Baron now. You went double Cloud. The thing about Cloud Drake is like the first one is obviously not very strong, but then once you get 2 or 3 of them, yeah, sure, you could argue couldn't have been like triple Mountain and triple Infernal, but when you actually have 2 or 3, the movement speed really start to matter. And especially when you're playing on 3 lanes, which H2K will be doing in this game, because they're obviously putting pressure on all the lanes at once, then the Cloud Drake actually does have some value when it comes to always moving to the sides here and reacting if Schalke is like collapsing on one of the lanes.
I mean, maybe not, definitely the worst dragon, 100%. But when you're already winning, it does make it a little bit easier to continue to do so.
Yeah, again, it's the thing, when you're gonna have 2 or 3, it is not useless. It's just, had this been double Mountain and an Infernal, putting pressure on this Baron would have been a whole
Or
other
Ocean
beast.
to keep a siege going. I mean, yeah.
And that's the way to look at it, right? So Baron setup is what we talk about, is what H2K wants to do, because at this point, diving inhib turrets is going to be super risky. It's very hard to keep MrRallez in only one lane if he can run from inhib to inhib. It takes, you know, just 2 seconds and you are now switching lanes, which means he can recall. It's not a recall, but he can roam and wave clear multiple lanes all of a sudden. And then it becomes very difficult to like break the base. That's why you set up for the Barons.
Yeah, Rek'Sai, one of the strongest abilities in the game for clearing out those creeps. Especially even Baron creeps as well. Not taking into account the AoE debuff for damage, counting as a single target every time it hits. So, very powerful.
Good setup. You got triple ping. The only good thing for Schalke is that one ward near the mid lane. That is the one ward you can double TP to as a Kassadin and a Trundle.
The shining light.
And catch someone. If that happens, that one ward, whoever placed it, will be the MVP. If it doesn't happen, well then H2K takes the Baron and...
You know, we actually have like a player of the game system. You can't just like blindly commit to giving someone MVP for placing a ward.
I give my own MVPs.
Deficio's personal MVP.
As I told you in the last game, I don't care about your system. Whoever placed that ward, if the TP to it and managed to win a fight from it.
You're literally tapping the screen, furious.
Ward is running out though in like 5 seconds. And also it was Sprattel with his side stone and the ward is gone.
Everybody standing still on the side
it.
of H2K. Not wanting to get popped. Here comes the flank. Odo pushing on the bottom.
Dark.
Oh, they get it. Gilius, is he gonna get locked up? Stun doesn't happen. Missed timing coming in from Vander. They're gonna be able to back out in the end. Baron, though, potentially on the table. Odo continues to push the bottom side. TP's up for each and every member that has decided to pick it up this game.
And that was a flash from Gilius. Could be important if he needs to try and steal that Baron. One of the only ways Schalke can get back into this game, and why H2K is not risking that 50-50. There's no reason to. And now Sprattel, he tried to get the same. He actually got the same ward down again.
Oh. TP coming in. Odo maybe looking to make something happen. Gnar coming in as well. Flash over the wall from Vander. Just going to stun up the Krugs. Failure in execution here, but will they still be able to grab it? Gilius going to get burned down so quickly. Fox trying to get something back. Jankos potentially in trouble. MrRallez on the backside, but the front line is too much. Odo standing in the way is going to hop and skip over his heads of his teammates to try to make it to safety. Freeze with the heal. Fox with the Zanyas. Trap. Can they get it? Stun comes down. Chain CC. Vander picks up the kill on Fox. H2K own the team fight, and Schalke have to walk away empty-handed. No one has dropped on the side of H2K, and Steve now on the forefront. Gravity Field comes in. He has to flash out Ryu. No fear from the mid laner of H2K. The solo lanes running forward. In comes the Caitlyn ulti. A long, slow goodbye.
Didn't even get the assist. If you're freeze because Ryu flashed in, finished the kill. But man, building Outlast versus Viktor, Caitlyn, even Bard, man, that sucks. Like, every time you use it, you know once you get out, you're just gonna get chain CC. Really nothing Schalke can do in these fights. They're trying. Had to all in for it. We see, so it's H2K chasing through the jungle. Bam. Stuns the golems, all planned here from Vander. And now it's just an easy collapse from H2K, and really nothing Schalke can do at this point. They're trying to chase back, and then you see the problem. Kassadin diving in the open, pops the Hourglass. Well, that's not really gonna help you.
Perfect chain CC too. I mean, at the end of the day, H2K out. Not only do they have the gold advantage here, but they're executing so well in these fights, and Schalke just getting zoned out completely. Steve runs forward, miscommunication from the team, and now it's easy to once again just try to chain the CC together. Steve's going to flash out, but the second he is no longer frontlining, MrRallez is left all on his lonesome.
Ryu doesn't care about your Caitlyn ulti. He's killing Gilius.
Potentially stunned up here. Is going to get that canceled out. Down goes the jungler for Schalke. Baron now left, potentially uncontested. Schalke need to be ready to fight for this one. This could be their last shot at turning this game around, but with no smite, it is going to be an uphill battle.
They're moving in. They need some of these H2K members to take some damage from the Baron, but it's going down very quickly.
3K, 2K, slowly dropping lower. Schalke aren't in position to contest. Odo knocks Steve into the wall, and the fight has begun. H2K moving forward. They're going to look to pick up the top laner. Can they make it one more? No Tempered Fate available. Baron buff backing up H2K as they barrel down the mid lane.
They got everything. I mean, honestly, perfect play from H2K. They're not making any mistakes in this game here. Always setting up the vision in the jungle, then catching out Schalke when they try and move in and stop the Baron. And now, this is your reward. You get a free Baron straight into the enemy base. This is perfect macro play from H2K. And Schalke's composition, we said it, high risk, high reward. You're getting punished for that poor start where Schalke made so many mistakes.
Absolutely. Now they're setting their sights on a second inhibitor. If they break this one, it should be so easy for them to just continue and close out. Maybe look for a third. They're throwing out the ultimates. Will they look for more? MrRallez drops. Aggressive flash forward from Freeze. Fox running for his life as the second inhibitor falls. H2K, will they be able to close the game here? What final defense can Schalke put down? Tempered Fate gonna go wide. Odo starting to burn things down. What else can they do? Do Schalke have any hope? Do they have any fighting left in the comp? It does not look like it. Baron buff powering them up. A massive gold lead, 15K for H2K. They may have hesitated in game one, but there is no hope left for Schalke in game two as H2K close it out.
Dominating victory from H2K over Schalke. Very important game for H2K. The first one, back and forth, mistakes here and there, super close. This one, well, we said it again and again. The early game, the power of Jankos on Elise, and these early games, the first one came.
And we were so scared. We saw so much priority placed on the jungle in that first rotation. We thought it would count against them.
Well, to be fair, I mean, if you judge just the first rotation, right, getting Sivir Karma was fantastic from Schalke, and then getting Rek'Sai. A lot of teams would be happy with that trade, but this is, again, a comfort pick for Jankos, his best jungler. Still, I don't think the pick and ban phase necessarily set up how the early game went. No, that was just Schalke misplaying their composition, or just misplaying, honestly. They were just misplaying. Staying under that tower in the top lane is a huge mistake, no matter what composition you have. That shouldn't have been the case. And then you had that high risk, high reward Kassadin pick that obviously got shut down early and your team fell behind. There's nothing you can do there.
Big ups to H2K for executing so well on the tower dive, for taking those opportunities when they were given to them, because that is something that we've seen them struggle with. I praised them in the past for being one of the few teams in Europe unafraid to execute on tower dives after the damage changes, because we've seen so many teams fail.
Yep.
In the past, hasn't worked for them. They've lost members, they've traded 1-for-1 when they were looking for clean tower dives, but this week it was clean, and it gave them that advantage. Jankos comes to the mid lane, gets a kill. They go to the top lane, they get 2 more. Just continues to snowball for H2K, and that is the performance that we like to see.
Also means H2K gets their 3rd place back after Supply stole it for a few hours. H2K is back up there in the top 3, Splice just underneath, and obviously Schalke still sitting with Giants a little bit further down, but they are in a good position. If you look at Schalke in the standings, they are still in the top 6, which is the important thing. This series, though, they can't be happy, especially not with the game 2, but also the fact it was so close in game 1.
In game 1, I think you can go back and forth on, but game 2 was poor. Game 1, there's great moments from both teams. Game 2 was a stomp. H2K crushed 100%. Schalke, and this is the kind of game where you look back and there were just such a multitude of mistakes. I mean, it's a lot of things that now Schalke has to improve on, to look forward to improve in the coming weeks. And maybe that's good for them. Maybe they were getting too comfortable, and now this is kind of an eye-opener for them. They're not going to be able to move up the bracket quite so easily, and at the same time, it has to hurt your confidence coming in.
Obviously, when you make some of the mistakes where after, as a team, you sit, you know, in the shuttle back home and you talk about, man, that was such a stupid mistake. Why did we stay under that tower? You feel like you can fix it for next week. They have to, obviously, or for tomorrow, sorry. And then we're going to see a new Schalke.
Well, speaking of people who have fixed things, a team that has fixed their problems, Pulse is standing by with Jankos from H2K on stage. Let's